Hey, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate your time. I know you guys are super busy with school here. I get it. And what do I have? What do I know about Pom? Absolutely nothing. Besides the fact that I have unbelievable rhythm, I have no idea about Pom. But I know about coaching, teamwork, leadership, and that's all what sports are about, no matter what sport we're playing, right? So what I really want to get into tonight is just being a better team and how that's going to happen. And what I'd really like to talk about is your inner drive. I know that, I heard you guys talking earlier, it's not a varsity sport, I get that. But you're here, you're doing something. You came here, you put the time in, so if you're going to put the time in, you might as well be really good at it. That's how I work at it. If you're going to do something, you might as well be really good at it. I don't care what it is that we're doing. So whether or not you're varsity, whether or not people recognize you, whether or not you're practicing in 3 different buildings and 5,000 different rooms. I was in the wrong room tonight, thanks to Coach, but that's okay. I got here, I heard you guys been in the wrong room, so it's difficult. You're practicing in this room here, on this floor, we're at Michigan, right? Everybody knows what Michigan has. I used to coach at CMU, so I've been to the baseball field. I've been in the indoor facility. And this is what you guys get. But that should fuel you. That should fuel you because people really don't understand, I think, what it is you ladies do. And the athleticism that you guys bring. Because I really think you make things look easy sometimes, and people honestly think oh, they're just moving, they're just dancing. But the deal is, in most team sports, right? In most team sports, somebody can mess up. Like in baseball, if a pitcher throws a bad pitch, the fielder can correct it by making a good play, right? In football, if the quarterback throws a bad pass, the defensive back, the receiver can make a play on it and make it all okay. In this sport, in your sport, I call it a sport because it's athletic. When you guys move, I don't care if people don't call it a sport, that's ridiculous to me. This is a sport. When you guys move the way you guys move, that's a sport. There's athleticism involved in this. So the deal is what separates your sport, though, from the other sports is if one person messes up, or one person's like a tenth of a second off, nobody can fix that. Right? Nobody can fix that. Nobody can fix that. That's noticeable. That's judged. Everything you do gets judged. We don't get judged. If we throw a bad pitch, it's called a ball. It's not like, oh, you deducted 5 points or you give up a run because you do a bad pitch. But you guys get deducted, right? And that's enough to cause anxiety as it is. That always being judged in the first place is enough to cause anxiety. We got it in high school, we get it in college, we get it from our family, and then in your sport you're being judged in as well. Like literally judged. And that's just, part of the course, I get it. But the deal is what that comes back to is not being the weakest link. Right? We're all as good as our weakest link. That's all our teams are, especially this team, this sport. And so, when I say anything worth doing is worth overdoing. I don't care if it's a varsity sport, a club sport, a group, whatever you guys are called on campus, you're a group, you're a team, and you guys deserve, and if you're doing it, you owe it to the person next to you. You owe it to the person next to you to be the best that you can be. And I know 3 nights a week is what's required, correct? Okay, so 3 nights a week is required. I played baseball in college, I played baseball professionally, and if I ever did the minimum, I was never going to make it. In college, it was a 20-hour week for us. We had 20 hours per week on top of classes, on top of that. Now, I went to Western Michigan. I know I'm not at Michigan. Right? I know that it's not the same. I get it. But 20 hours is still 20 hours. Right? 20 hours a week on top of classes, on top of trying to balance a social life, right? On top of studying after that. So 20 hours a week. But the deal was, if I only did 20 hours a week, I was going to be very average. And I never wanted to be average. I wanted to play professionally. From the time I was this old, I grew up in Taylor, Michigan, just down the road a little bit, like 40 minutes. I grew up in Taylor, Michigan. My home life was like this. My parents were never married. Right? My mom and dad both suffered from alcoholism. And some of the things I saw, I hope you guys never have to see or never have seen. Okay? I used to come home from school and my mom would be passed out, like literally passed out drunk on the couch just to wake up to tell me I was going to be just like my brother who spent 17 years in prison. Okay, that was what I was going to be. That was the expectation for my life. Now, some of you come from better. I'm certain of it. Some of you come maybe come from the same or worse or maybe similar. I don't know. The point is, it doesn't matter where we start, it matters where we finish. And what I'm getting with this is this team, this sport, could eventually be a varsity sport if we're good enough. Right? If we're good enough. And this group right here can be the one that decides that, hey, let's take that first step. Let's take the first step, and let's our legacy be, we were the best program to ever walk through this school. We took the first step to make it a varsity program. Yeah, so you don't get the credit, you don't get the letter, but in 5, 6, 7 years from now, when you come back, and it's a varsity sport, then you can look at it and go, I did that. Like, that was because of us. That was because of this team. And that's a big deal. Like, that's a legacy. That won't ever be forgotten. Coach won't forget it. Your teammates won't forget it. But if we're going to do that, all right, it takes so much more than just 3 days a week. It takes so much more than just the time that you're in here. It takes so much more. When I told you guys I played college, I played professional. All right, I used to skip parties. I didn't drink in high school. I used to skip parties to work out. People would ask me after school, we're gonna go out here, we're gonna hang out here. I'll be there at like 6. I gotta work out, I gotta run, I gotta hit, I gotta do this stuff. I'll be there at 6. We'll be home by 6. Well, that's fine. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Right? I had a goal that was really unrealistic. Like, to play in the big leagues, there's 750 people. And in the big leagues, there's Cuba, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Japan, Korea, right? All Australia, obviously the United States, Canada. There's all sorts of countries, millions of people. And I wanted to be one of 750 people. So the idea that I could just get by with the required practices was crazy. It was never a thought. So what I did was, while you were sitting at home playing video games, I was working. While you were out partying and drinking, I was working. While you were out getting in trouble, I was at home making sure that my eligibility was safe. Like, I sacrificed so much to do that, to have that dream. And I ended up reaching, not the big leagues, I came up short of that, but I made the minor leagues. My paycheck was signed by the same person that signed Miguel Cabrera's paycheck. Right? Same deal. So I played professionally because of a work ethic, because I wasn't able, honestly able, I couldn't look at myself or look at my teammate and say I did just enough. I did what everybody else did. So I understand that all of you have access to the music, right? All of you have access to what we're doing. And here's the deal. Like my sport, like baseball, like other sports, some of you will be deficient in certain areas of the routine. And some of you, so you won't all have the exact same problem, correct? Like, you might mess up early, you might mess up late, in the middle might be your problem, your issue, right? And so if we all come to practice, and we didn't work on that, we're all going to make the same mistakes. In a group practice setting like that, there's not a ton of time for that individual work. And even if there is individual work like that, it's still not enough. It's not enough. There's no way that's enough. Because a lot of this is, I don't know, choreography, or actually doing the whole routine, or parts of the routine. I don't know, when I was at Howell, they would break it down into like certain parts of the routine together, and then go over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? But the deal is, like, you had it down. Right? You already had that part. So you're like, I'm bored. What am I doing? I suck at the part later in this routine. I got this down. I'm killing this part. So the only way to do this is to go home, I don't care, in your dorm room, somewhere. You guys perform in front of people anyways, right? Do it on the sidewalk. I don't care where you do it. I used to work out in my front yard. I literally, my uncle got a real workout bench. He gave it to me. It wouldn't all fit in my room. So there's certain things I couldn't do in my room. My room wasn't that big. It was like this big, right here. Hard to do a lot of stuff like walking lunges or other things. So I would literally take the weights outside in my front yard, and I would work out. I didn't care. Like, if people laughed at me, it was great, because in like 20 years from now, right, they're going to ask my autograph. So you laugh at me now because I'm working out in my front yard. 20 years from now, you're going to get my autograph, and then you won't be laughing anymore. You know, that never fueled me. What fueled me, though, was to be the best I could be. I simply wanted to be the best I could be. I didn't care about what people said, whether they said, oh, you're great, or oh, you're terrible. I never let hate drive me. I never let even support drive me. I had a goal inside, like an internal desire to be great at what we do. And so anything worth doing, right, is worth overdoing. So why not be the best? Right? Why not be the best at everything we do? I'm talking everything. Like, how about even just past practice? Like, social media, be the best at. Right? I follow you guys and I follow Michigan State, and they're killing you guys. I hate to say that. I hate to say it, but it's time to step that game up. Because if you guys want to bring in like better talent, right, or more, you got to put it out there. You just got to show what you're doing. You got to show what you're doing. Make clips of you practicing on your own. This is the Michigan standard. If you want to come here and be part of this program, like this is the standard. It's 8:30 at night. I'm in my dorm room. It's a study break. Like, 'cause I know it's not easy here. I get that. But you still can find time. You still can find time. So here I am, 15-second video. This is what's expected if you want to be here. Raise the expectations. Awesome. Raise the expectations. It's not okay. It's not okay to be average, right? I came with a shirt, be unrealistic or be average. And it's simply a goal-setting process. It's about making your goals so high that even if you fail, you still can be great. That you can be really good. Now, remember, I made the minor leagues, which is like 1% of everybody in the world. And the big leagues is like 0.1%. But still, I had a goal so high that when I failed at reaching that goal, I was still really good. I was still really good, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about dedication, a lot about discipline, right? A lot about just hard work in general and what it takes to get from point A to point B. Because there's going to be hardships. There's going to be team bickering. There's going to be like wrong room at practice. Coach, I'll be 5 minutes late because I was in the wrong building. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be practicing in little rooms like this that aren't conducive with the space you really need. But you can make that an excuse and say, well, that's just what we get, and that's why we're this, and that's why we're that. Or you can really, really, really push each other. But even more than that, push yourselves. Because if I don't know this team at all, never seen you, one time. But I played sports, so I get that a lot of teams have a wide range of talent, a wide range of ability. Right? The best part with our other sports is we just redshirt people. Oh, you can't play yet? Okay, you redshirt. Or you can't play yet? You just don't play. Nobody sees you. You got all 13, but you got another teammate. You got 14 people that are going to be on the floor. And you have to be accountable to the girl next to you. You have to. You owe it to them to put in the work. And not just at practice. And on top of that, like if you are a leader on this team, there's a right way and a wrong way to lead. Right? A lot of times the right way to lead is simply waiting until practice is over or waiting until times have calmed down. Because if you call somebody out in public, we're going to get embarrassed. It's natural. We get embarrassed. It's natural. It's a natural instinct. But if it's done right, like, hey, I see you struggling with this. Let me help you. Or, here's what you're messing up with. Like, just put an arm around somebody. Your teammates. I hug everybody. I'm like Olaf, right? I like warm hugs. I hug everybody. Like, if you gotta shake my hand, coach, I shake my hand, I give everybody a hug. Guys, girls, doesn't matter. Babies, I give everybody a hug. Everybody gets a hug. Everybody gets a hug. I hugged like 15 dudes this weekend when I spoke on Sunday. Right? I don't care. If you come in for a handshake, nope. We're getting a hug again. All right? Because that's the deal. Like, there's a connection. And a team's gotta have that connection. And a team has to be able to talk to each other. You ladies have to be able to constructively criticize each other. And you have to be able to accept that too. Because if you can't accept the criticism from somebody that's been there or doing that, or your coach, and you think it's a personal attack, then that's going to hurt all of us. We've all been criticized. Like I said, now if you're a leader, and I don't know how you guys do leadership, but some people do seniors are leaders, and that's just the way it's going to be. But if you're a leader, show more caring instincts. Like, show more love. Literally. Stop getting on somebody. I've been to practice. I've been to pom practice before, and it's like, let's go! Right? All the time. I'm like, how does that make anybody better? Like, I get anxiety just watching that. I feel bad for the people watching. I couldn't imagine trying to perform getting treated like that. I talked to a couple of girls earlier, right, they said it's really positive. The environment's really positive. That's a step in the right direction. That's a step in the right direction. Now, the difference is between, okay, it can be positive, but there can still be criticism. Constructive criticism. It can be a positive environment and still have constructive criticism. Does that make sense? So you got to have thick skin And also the person giving that, the leadership, has to understand how to lead. Leader isn't just saying, hey, go get that stuff and go do that, like you're not doing it right, that's not leading. That's just talking, that's just criticizing in general. That's not constructive. Like we gotta be constructive when we talk to people. And the last thing is, I want to talk about is goals, straight up goals. Like, do you know what your goals are? Do you have individual goals? Do you have team goals? Do we have that? Do you have team goals? Individual goals? Do you have any goals for yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, don't tell them, because once you tell them, there's a lot less chance that you actually reach those goals. True story. So here's what I want you to do though. As a team, literally get together. Okay, now as a team. 2 goals. One is a team goal. You got a big competition coming November 9th, right? Some of you have never been in a competition like that, correct? Awesome. That's going to be so fantastic. You're going to find out a lot about yourself and how you deal with pressure and how you deal with the stress and the anxiety of something that's new. So 2 things you got to do. Because when I speak, I don't like just to pump people up and motivate them or put them down. I like to give you tools. So when I leave here, that you can go, okay, I learned this. So, 2 goals. So you're going to get 2 note cards. I know you guys have a ton of note cards. All right? You guys do a lot of studying flashcards. 2 goals. One is, and you do it all individually. One is a team goal. You write down a goal for this team, and each person. And then one is your personal goal for yourself. Your team goal will go to coach. Right? And then hopefully, it all aligns like it's really close. Something about winning or being better or winning this competition or that competition. Right? That's a team goal. So hopefully it's really close. But then individually, your goal. Like, what do you want out of this experience? Well, I don't want this guy up here preaching at me. Right? I don't know. What do you want out of this experience? Like at the end of 4 years, right, it's over, and the experience is done. What do you want to get from this? Do you want to learn to be a better leader? Do you want to learn to be a better teammate? Right? Do you want to be the best Palm team or individual athlete in the conference, in the state? I don't know. But like, what do you want? And then once you know what you want out of it, then you can create a process. Like if you just want to get through and go through 4 years and say I'm part of a team, that's really easy. Anybody can do that. You're going to show up 3 nights a week, do your deal, and that's done. Right? That's part of that deal. But if you want to be really good, it's going to take more. It's going to take working out in your front yard. It's going to take dancing in your room. Like not dancing, but doing your routine in your room. Sorry. I know that was not good. It's going to take doing your routine with your headphones and your iPhone. I don't care if it's in the middle of the cafeteria. Like wherever it takes, whatever it takes, is what you have to do to become the best you can possibly be. Correct? So it's whether or not you want it. And then the last 3 things. All right, and anything you guys do outside of, with Palm or outside of Palm. If you're going to be successful, you have to be consistent. That means when you show up, everybody knows what they can expect from you. When you get here, they know what you've done. They know what you're going to do, and they understand that. With your attitude, your work ethic, and everything. Because if you come in, and one day you're really happy, and one day you're really low, one day you're really happy, people, it's not good to be around that. And that causes a lot of anxiety. Or, if you're not consistent in your work ethic, right, and you're not consistent in practice, your consistency lacks, throughout life, that's going to be an issue. People love to know what they can expect from somebody when they show up. So be consistent. And then the biggest one of all 3 of these is persistent. And that's what you have to be. I mean, like I said, the way you guys practice, where you practice, how you do it, not be like, no scholarships, whatever, but you got to be persistent. You have to be persistent, meaning adversity comes. Like we're not all from a Palm background, correct? Is that right? So that alone is team adversity. But we got to push through that and pick each other up. Things will come at us. We'll be late for practice. We have an exam. Too bad. That's part of being a college student. I know that. You know that. That's part of the deal. When you signed up to be on this team, when you accepted that invitation or whatever it was, right, that was part of the deal. School's part of the deal. Being in practice is part of the deal. Trying to be the best you can be is part of the deal. So you accepted that. So if you have an exam, that's adversity, right? You gotta stay up late to study, you gotta get to practice, whatever, that's too bad. Get them both done. Get them both done. You have to get them both done. That's part of the way it is, right? And then patient. And now, this is different. Talk about this, right? You got to number 9. But patient meaning this kind of patient, be patient with each other. Be patient with each other. Push each other, but be patient with each other. Remember, all right, I have a very good feeling that nobody in here is doing something wrong on purpose. Nobody wants to suck, right? Nobody wants to be bad at this part. Nobody wants to be bad at that part. Correct? So be patient with each other and help and push and move them around a little bit, but be patient. Know they're giving you their best, as long as they are. And only the person looking in the mirror can answer anyways. But know that the person is trying their hardest. And that will form, that patience will actually form a tighter bond. If you snap at somebody, you get on them a little bit about something that they're trying to do, and maybe they're just not good enough yet, or talented enough, or they haven't figured it out yet, that is going to cause distension. But again, it's okay to coach. It's okay to push. But there's a difference between pushing and being an absolute jerk. And I know that because that was me. In college, we had a really good team, and I was one of the leaders, except I wasn't a leader looking back on it, because I was a complete ass. Like, I would yell at people for not doing this, I'd yell at them for not doing that. And I look back and I go, how did anybody ever want to play with me? It was like a blessing, I think, that they even stayed, they even let me stay on the team. Because I wasn't a good teammate early in my career. So, to wrap it up, like, literally, you have to work as hard as you can, work extra, do more. You owe it to your teammate. You owe it to the person next to you, because it doesn't matter how good the front line is, right? If the person in the very back is off, we're screwed. The judge is going to see it. It's going to happen. So you owe it to each other, because else, why are we doing this? Like, why are we here 3 nights a week if we're not trying to be the best? What's the point? This 3 nights a week is a complete waste of time, honestly, if you're not putting in the extra work. If you're not putting in the time on your own, then what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? You either want it or you don't want it. You either want it or you don't want it. And here's the last thing. You have 2 options in life, okay? You can suffer two different pains. One's the pain of discipline, and one's the pain of regret, right? When I was giving baseball lessons, I had a kid named Patrick and a kid named Bill. True story, in Traverse City. We're hitting in the cages, and Patrick looks at Bill and says, Bill, if I put in as much time as you did, I would be way better than you. And I was floored. I almost fell off the bucket. I was like, wait, what did you say? He said, if I put in as much time as Bill, I'd be better than Bill. And I was speechless, right? And it's like, that is the dumbest thing I ever heard. That's what I told him. I said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. First of all, you have no proof. Right? You have no proof, because who knows what you could be? You don't know what you could be, because you're not willing to put it in. You're not willing to grind. You're not willing to do what it takes to be the best. I don't care if there's 14 of you ladies in a small room in the middle of a huge campus. It is time to put in the work, because in 20 years from now, trust me, 20 years from now, you're going to say, I did it. I went as hard as I could. Every night I looked in the mirror, I went at it. I answered the mirror with yes. I did as much as I possibly could. Or you'll be like Patrick. Literally be like Patrick, who now is going, imagine if I would have worked a little bit harder. Imagine if I would have done a little bit more. Imagine if I would have showed up on my own a few extra times. Who knows what I could have been? But there are bar stools across America with dudes, right, and ladies, just like that, saying, I could have been this. I could have been that, right? Like Uncle Rico said, if Coach would put me in, we would win a state championship. There's a lot of what ifs. But you have the ability to get rid of those. That's the thing. That's the thing. You have the ability. And it comes from accountability. But you have the ability to get rid of any what if. I played with Curtis Granderson. I played with Joel Zumaya. I played with Don Kelly. I played against Miguel Cabrera, actually. I played against those guys. Here's one thing I know in life. I and where I'm at because I was not good enough to be where they're at. But I know that. I know I wasn't good enough. It had nothing to do with a lack of work ethic. I put in more work, and I promise you this. I promise you this. I put in more work than anybody I've ever met. And I got the most out of my body. There was nothing left in me. I had no potential left. And I was only good enough to get the high A. But that was okay with me. Yeah, it sucks. I wanted to make $20 million a year, right? Who doesn't? But the deal is, I can look in the mirror and say, yo, you put it in, man. You went at it every day. When everybody else was slacking and doing nothing, you were grinding. You were hustling. You were pushing yourself in 90-degree weather, running sprints, doing squats, doing lunges in your front yard when everybody else was hanging out. And I did it in college. You know, every time I went to the next level, I was a backup. And I ended up taking the spot because when they were slacking, I was grinding. I was putting it in. I mean, putting it in. So there's no potential in my body. It was all out. It was all used. And I wasn't good enough. So when I look back in life, I can say, thank you for suffering the pain of discipline. I look in the mirror and say that to myself. Thank you. Because not only did I failed, right? My goal was to be in the big leagues. I wrote it down on a note card. And I failed. But I failed forward. I failed forward, meaning that I took the lessons learned, the dedication, the discipline, the hard work, right? All of that stuff, because I suffered the pain of discipline when I could. And then when my career ended, I opened up my own business. And then when I wanted to do something more, I started to do speaking gigs. And I'm doing more and more and more. I've been to a lot of schools now. I've been to Michigan State. I've been to Michigan, Alma College. I'm going to Howell tomorrow. I've been to Howell before. I've been to Royal Oak. And so now I'm getting paid because this is what I do. But for 2 years, here's the deal. For 2 years, talking about discipline. All right? I got my first paid speaking gig in 2011 for $50. Covered my gas and forth back to Grand Rapids. $50. For 2 years, I didn't get another gig. Nobody would pay me. I spoke for free a few times. I made a bunch of YouTube videos that none of you have ever seen, right? And like literally, there's clips, I have YouTube videos from 2 years ago that got 30 views on them. But it was part of my process. If I wanted to get from point A to point B, I had to do it. So I'm in my living room with this camera right here, like pushing the button, walking to the other side, like getting all amped and getting crazy, and then going around pushing the other button back, putting it on YouTube, right? And then there was like 5 views and 3 of them were me. Because I was sharing it on Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff. So 3 of them were me, of the 5 views. There's still videos from 2011, 2012, that literally have like 30 views. And I don't care. I don't care. Because that's what it's going to take. Because one day, because I suffer the pain of discipline, one day, when I'm speaking all over the place, they'll have like 1 million each. And I'm okay with that. Because I have to get from where I was to where I want to be. And the only way to do that is to suffer the pain of discipline. To just I'm asking, I'm begging you. You do not want to look back and say you could have been better. You do not want to look back and say, I could have done more. Just put it all in. Like, go all in. Go all in everything you do. Yeah, time management's key, but go all in. Like, all the way in. Don't walk in the pool and put your feet in the water, just jump in. Just go. Stop testing the waters and believe in yourself, believe in your teammates, and start grinding together. Like, just start busting your butt every single day. And then when you look back, you'll say, man, I did everything I could. Every single thing I could, I did it. I couldn't do anymore. And then as you go forward in life, if you do that now with this, or if you do that now with this, and you go forward in life, these lessons will carry over. Hard work doesn't fade. Discipline doesn't fade. Dedication doesn't fade. It all stays. And it can be learned right here and taught right here. In this room, right now, starting tonight. So look back and know. Just look back and know that I did everything I could. And that's it. That's what's going to take. That is exactly what it takes. Thanks for having me.